So sad. Netflix. Hi, my special ones. Lovely to see you again. Of course, anybody who knows me knows that I'm such a huge fan of Reed Hastings. And Reed Hastings is the CEO and co-founder of Netflix. During this COVID-19 season where lots of businesses are shutting down, I mean, for the first time in a long time, I believe they said in over 50 years, the price of oil per barrel is below $0. So it's practically cheaper to just dash the oil out at this rate. Of course, that's because the transportation industry has been grounded to a halt, and transportation liquids like diesel and petrol are the biggest consumers of oil and gas. But in the midst of all this, and workers are laying people off, and companies are closing down temporarily, but in the midst of all this, one company seems to be really shining. I'm not saying they're the only company, but theirs is quite significant, and that company is Netflix. So Netflix is profiting so well from this lockdown. In fact, the prices of Netflix shares have surpassed that of Disney and even companies like ExxonMobil. Now, to understand the magnitude of what this means, understand that a company like Disney, yes, they make films for the cinema, but they also own like theme parks, they have restaurants, they make merchandise, toys, they make clothes, they do food, they do so many things. So for Netflix, that all they do is make content and put it online to be more profitable than Disney. Now that's huge. And of course, they're more profitable than ExxonMobil right now because of the oil crisis. And a lot of people are saying that Netflix's success is the whole first to market advantage. That's why we tend to call all streaming platforms Netflix and chill, why we call all phone order cabs Uber, because Uber was the first, kind of like how, but yes, Netflix had the first to market advantage. Yes, they did. But I think more than that, I think for me, what is most significant for their present day success is a risk that Reed Hastings took. So when he was starting Netflix, he said he wasn't going to have any ads on Netflix. It was just content for content's sake, and they will make money only from subscription. And this was something that people thought he was crazy, because for those of us in the entertainment industry, we know that when you're making like a business model for like a movie or anything you want to do, sponsorship is right up there, if not number one. You want to get companies to sponsor, to partner with you, to collaborate with you, so that you give them brand visibility and exposure in exchange for some kind of financial support or publicity support for your project. Like, it's kind of like everybody in the entertainment business does it. If you watch Hollywood movies, sometimes you see lots of, they zoom in and show you the logo of the car when the car is doing a nice stunt. Those are called product placements, they're sponsorships. And of course, we all know that TV model, they make most of their money from adverts. That's when you're watching a show, in between every 15 minutes an advert comes up, MTN, Glow, some other companies advertising. Those people pay for those 1 minute slots in the millions. It's really expensive. So for a company like Netflix to say, we don't want ad revenue, I'm sure at the time people must have thought Reed was cuckoo. But even though I know that this lockdown situation is very temporary, but I really believe that's what he's benefiting from, because right now the world has come to an economic halt. Nobody wants to be watching TV and ads are popping up of, oh, let's go to Bali or buy this new shoe or check out this new car. You don't need those things right now. All you need right now is food, roof over your head, and to stay alive, and of course something to keep your mind busy, which is something to watch. So I feel like what is really helping Netflix have an edge over all the other competitors, the Hulus, the HBOs, everybody who's streaming online and even TV stations, is the lack of adverts. Because more than ever, I feel like people just want to consume entertainment for entertainment's sake. In fact, if you're even watching stuff and too many adverts are popping up and you're stuck at home, you might have to get pissed off when they're advertising, the new Birkin bag or makeup or hair or clothes. Like, we don't really need all those things right now. So I think just not having those things on the platform, is really significant and is responsible for this surge in his share prices. This, of course, is a so says. It is my personal opinion. I could be wrong. It could just be the first to market. Who knows? But I mean, more importantly than that, what I'm trying to say with this so says is sometimes it's really beneficial to just stick to your guns when you have an idea. And I'm not saying don't listen to other people and just believe you're always right, because that's also kind of like being ridiculous. You need advisors around you and stuff like that. But sometimes dare to take a risk. That thing everybody's saying is crazy. I mean, Bob Iger, who was the former CEO of Disney, had a saying. I think this is actually a Reed Hastings saying that any idea worth its salt will sound crazy at first, something to that effect. I paraphrase, So sometimes it's just really important to just sometimes do you. People might think you're crazy, people might think you're running out of your mind, but you know what you're doing, especially when you've thought it through properly and you've done your research, not just, taking a risk out of the hat, calculated risk, And I think and I think now more than ever in this age where robots and computers are taking over lots of our jobs, I think what's really going to stand the test of time moving forward is creativity. Just that extra thinking out of the box. Like who would think that a service that shunned what was before the most profitable form of revenue, which is advertising, would be number one? You know what I mean? It just sounds crazy. Like they were the only ones to say, we don't want this money, and they have all the money now. It's just, well, not all the money, but you get my point, So it's really, really important to take risks, calculated risk. It's really important to try new stuff. I think that's the core of what I'm trying to say with this process is experiment, try new stuff. Even if it's just as crazy as trying to brush your teeth with your left hand sometimes. You know what I mean? I have this thing where I always say, I want to try something for the first time every day. So even if it's just something as crazy as I buy corn and I spread butter on it and try that, I always want to try something new. So I always challenge myself to try something for the first time every day. Some I tried them, I hate it. Some I love it. Some I'm like, I'll never do that again. Some I'm like, oh wow, this is good. But you can never know unless you try. So be very open to risk. Be very open to trying new things. And because the more you try, the more you fail, and the more you know what you're good at. It's a continuous process. So I think that's what I'm trying to say is I was really inspired to find out this about Netflix. And it also goes to show that, I mean, in these times where everybody's doomy, gloomy, everybody's sad, if you never know when your sunshine or your big break is gonna come. Like who would think that in the midst of all this chaos, Netflix is gonna come out on top like this? And yes, there are people who always benefit from every chaos, but it's just nice to know that it's never impossible, no matter the time, no matter what's going on in the world. If you keep on working at something, you never know when you're gonna profit from it. And that's my so says. Always, always, always remember to practice your empathy. And empathy means what you don't want someone to do to you, don't do it to another person. Practice your empathy so much that it becomes second nature to you, that you approach every situation with an open mind, understanding, and compassion. Thank you so much, my special ones, for always watching. And remember, I love you.